I'm Sarah Bird, this is Crash Course World History, and today we're going to learn about America.
Yeah.
No, not that America. Ancient Mesoamerica, including the Olmecs, Mayans, and Aztecs. Duh. Which all began when humans traveled to Alaska from Siberia. This wave of migration eventually spread to include the Gulf of Mexico, where the Olmec society emerged and will forever be remembered for the human heads that surround the area of settlement.
Miss Bird, what do you mean human heads?
Stop interrupting me from the past, or I will sacrifice you to Quetzalcoatl. So today we're going to discuss some of the cultures that seem to disappear without a trace and explain some of the awesome contributions that they have made to calendars, astronomy, mathematics, and basically everything in your life. The human heads found in Mesoamerica are believed to have been created by the Olmecs and were carved out of stone, jade, and volcanic rock basalt. These heads are believed to be representative of the leaders in Olmec society as a way to remember their rule. The Olmec society emerged around the Gulf of Mexico, or to be more specific, the modern-day city of Veracruz. They rose in prominence around 1200 BCE and began to decline around 100 BCE as well. Olmec is translated to mean the people of the rubber country and refers to the rubber trees that were so abundant in their area. The Olmecs were known for their advancements in technology and cultural traditions that arose while they were in power. Autumn? I don't know how to pronounce that. That word in Mesoamerica was a prominent ceremonial center that was home to thousands and utilized a water and drainage system. They practiced a polytheistic religion, of which little is known. However, we do know that human sacrifice is believed to have been a huge part of that was later carried on by the Mayans and the Aztecs. Temple mounds were common constructs, and jaguars were viewed as a symbol of power. The Olmec calendar and fascination with astronomy was the basis for the Mayan calendar, which was an extremely accurate representation of solar and lunar patterns and cycles for centuries later. Time for the open letter. Okay. Ah! It's a calendar! An open letter to the Olmec calendar. Dear Olmec calendar, because of you, Mondays have ruined our lives and we're forced to deal with 5 days of work a week. But without you, we wouldn't know what day of the week it was, and we would be forever lost between the phases of the sun and the moon. So, best wishes, Sarah Bird. There were also social developments. For example, the Olmec ball game was established, where high-ranking captives were often forced to play. Death was the consequence of the losing, and skull racks held their severed heads. These cultural and intellectual advances helped to provide a basis for our next Mesoamerican society, the Mayans, and the mysterious handprints in the Cave of Red Hands. The Mayan Empire survived from the 3rd century BCE to 980. The empire was also located in modern-day southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Wait, what, Autumn? Did I really point to Nicaragua? Oh man. So, the cultivation of maize, cotton, and cocoa was possible due to the terraces that they constructed that were able to trap silt from the river. Cocoa beans were often used as a form of currency. Tikal was a major political center in the Mayan Empire and was home to the Temple of the Giant Jaguar. How ferocious. This temple was a step pyramid that influenced in part by the Olmec belief in the strength of the jaguar. The Temple of the Giant Jaguar was meant to be a symbol of Tikal's power over the surrounding regions. The importance of the jaguar as a symbol of power can be seen through the names leaders possessed. For example, kings with the title Great Jaguar Paul, Shield Jaguar, and Bird Jaguar. Basically me. Fun fact though, the jaguar is the largest feline native to the Americas. The region surrounding Tikal was broken up into city kingdoms such as Palenque and Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza developed into a loose empire whenever the Mayan Empire collapsed. The religious practices are probably what the Mayans are most noted for. A popular creation myth is Popol Vuh, which explained that the gods made humans out of maize and water. Priests also taught that the gods maintained the agricultural society in exchange for human sacrifices and honors. High-ranking captives are known for being sacrificed in rituals, and bloodletting rituals were common practices that were used by kings and other leaders to show their devotion to the gods and their kingdoms to ensure reign. The social stratification of the Mayan Empire is also something really interesting to note. They had a strictly hierarchical structure with kings, a large class of priests, and nobility at the top. Merchants followed and were known to have served as ambassadors as well. Artisans were next, slaves and peasants were located at the bottom of this social structure, but they made up the majority of the population. The Mayan Empire developed many intellectual achievements. For instance, the Maya created a calendar which put the number of days at 365.242, and they interwove solar and ritual years. Mayans are credited for creating the concept of zero. They also inherited some Olmec religious practices, the calendar, and the ritual ball game. The Olmec ball game became an important part of Mayan society and helped make gambling prevalent, and also held religious significance. Trade was also an important part, and they exported pottery, textiles, and tools. The Mayan Empire disappeared without any explanation, leaving historians and anthropologists with questions as to why these great people would desert homes and cities that are still standing today. Some possible answers include invasion, internal descent, civil war, water system failure, epidemic disease, natural phenomena, or ecological problems. From the Mayans, we now move on to the Aztecs and their ability to synthesize 3 different societies into a whole, plus their rigid hierarchy that showed respect to women, but only to those that filled the role they deemed correct, aka motherhood. From the world. The Mexican people settled in modern-day Mexico and founded the city of, there's that word again,
Tenochtitlan,
which became their capital and stood where Mexico City now stands. So remember, next time you go to Mexico City, pause to think about all the glory and depth and history that occurred there hundreds of years ago. Eventually, the Mexican people joined in a political alliance with the cities of Texcoco and Tlacopan, creating the Aztec Empire. Around the 15th century, this alliance became powerful enough to start conquering the neighboring cities. Rulers began to launch military and imperial expansions, which came to define their civilization. One of the more well-known conquests was under the rule of Itcuaro and Montezuma I, where they conquered the city of Oaxaca, slayed the inhabitants, populated it with colonists, and made it a thriving center. For most conquered and allied lands, however, the Aztecs only required tribute. This system was very oppressive economically, but it was pretty good politically. These tributary states had no Aztec administration, and local governments still ruled. They were kept in check, however, by the powerful Aztec army, just like, wait for it, the Mongols. How was their army so powerful? Well, to the Aztecs, all men, no matter their age or heritage, were viewed as potential warriors. Warriors were held in great esteem, and the mothers of the warriors were honored. Commoners could actually improve their status in the rigid hierarchy by capturing enemies on the battlefield to be later used as sacrifices. Like their predecessors, the Aztecs relied heavily on ritual sacrifice and royal bloodletting. However, unlike the others, we have an explanation for their sacrifice. Let's go to the thought bubble. The sun was believed to not have been able to move on its own when it first appeared. The gods sacrificed their own lives to help the sun move, and now it was up to the humans to repay the debt and keep the sun moving by sacrificing their own lives. The hierarchy of the Aztec Empire is really interesting to note. The highest class belonged to the military elite, and the most successful warriors formed a council that selected the ruler, discussed political issues, and filled government positions. Warriors were given the right to wear a brightly colored cap, and eagle feathers were given to those who captured enemies in battle. Women were largely relegated to the home, and the highest honor was being made the mother of a warrior. The bearing of children was equal to capturing enemies on the battlefield. Women did not inherit property or participate in politics, however. Priests were held highly as well because of their importance in religious ceremonies, which were central to Aztec belief. Merchants and artisans also held prestige because of their central importance in the economy. These merchants and artisans supplied exotic products and provided information about the lands that they visited. However, while there were many in these high positions, the majority of the population were commoners. The commoners were divided into groups called capuli, who claimed descent from common ancestors, managed their own affairs, and even had cultivating plots for each family. Commoners often had to work on lands owned by aristocrats and public work projects such as palaces, temples, and irrigation systems. Now, to focus back on the central aspect of Aztec society, religion, ritual bloodletting was believed to water the earth and ensure the continuation of the world. Human sacrifice was also considered essential to the world's survival. The most common people to be sacrificed were criminals and convicts and captives. They practiced a polytheistic faith, and their principal gods were Tezcatlipoca and Quetzalcoatl. The Aztec Empire was divided into 5 different sun eras. Each one was separated by a cataclysmic event. After each cataclysmic event, a new sun god rose to power. Overall, the Aztecs were a force to be reckoned with militarily and held religion to the utmost importance. One thing all these Mesoamerican societies had in common was draining blood from their victims, which actually makes it quite similar to my middle school boyfriend who drained the happiness from my life. Though, it's amazing to think that even over all of the centuries that divided these empires, they still share so many of the same characteristics. The Olmec ball game, the calendar, the practice of bloodletting, and human sacrifice were all common to these societies. Trade linked the different regions that they were located in and likely helped to diffuse the Olmec traditions and religious practices throughout all of Mesoamerica. These societies helped to continue each other's previous cultures and discoveries by picking up where the others had seemingly left off. Thanks for watching Crash Course World History, and I will see you next week when we talk about the Indians and their lame animal sacrifice. As they say in my hometown, don't forget to be awesome. Crash Course was made with the help of these nice people, including Autumn, who helped filming and directing, and Megan as script supervisor and pronunciation help. Sarah Bird, plus a thanks to our impromptu actress, Yaeli, as younger me. Trade linked different areas that they were located in, and it helped to diffuse. I'm sobbing. The Olmec Society emerged around. Okay, stop. Help. The Olmec Society. Okay.